Good evening. Welcome to the Diablo 3 podcast. I'm your host, Flux. I'm joined on the show tonight by Monstrous.
Hi there.
And by HolyKnight.
Hello.
And we are talking about a little bit more about BlizzCon. I realize the last two shows have also been about BlizzCon, but we're gonna. It's the show that never stops giving, just like herpes. And Monstrous, also just like herpes. Okay, not really. Monstrous just went to his first BlizzCon ever after being a huge Blizzard fanboy since 1971.
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
And HolyKnight has never gone, despite being a huge Blizzard fanboy since about 1950. And basically, you guys are just going to sit here and, like, live vicariously off of each other or something, and HolyKnight will probably try to ooze through the phone at some point and steal your soul, Monstrous, so be prepared for that.
I'm totally prepared.
Your soul.
I think I'm pretty sure that's a witch doctor skill. So we're going to get into that a little bit, and then talk about a little bit of the ongoing PTR and patch stuff. None of us have had much patch playing time, so it's going to be a little more hypothetical there. There was a big post this week from Wyatt about snapshotting and stuff, and we'll get some general Diablo 3 issues that are going forward, and other games and stuff as well a little bit, but mainly some BlizzCon stuff, and it's a holiday week, so we're not going to keep you for 3.5 hours tonight, since you probably have to go to Aunt Sally's and eat overcooked ham.
Food.
And
Some
Monstrous
of us do.
Yeah, Monstrous luckily is in Canada, and so during the third period intermission, they had Thanksgiving like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes. Our Thanksgiving is in October, so yeah, this is old news.
Yeah, so I mentioned before we started recording that the over-under for hockey and or bobsled jokes is going to be about 5.5. So if you're drinking along at home, take a shot each time I get over that number. I believe we're at 1 right now. And luckily those jokes about Canada never, ever get old, especially to Canadians.
Yeah,
so everyone will be very happy to hear more of them.
I'm always happy to hear.
Yeah, okay, that's already 3, man. You better get the vodka ready. Okay, so Monstrous, why had you never gone to BlizzCon before, and how excited were you when you were going this time?
Well, I didn't really know what to expect going into it. In the past couple of years, I've always had like the invite to go, and a lot of people that I could have went with were going. But it just never worked out. I either had a wedding to go to that weekend, or I had a work, like something on that I couldn't miss work for. So the stars aligned, and I was able to go, and I'm super happy I went. It's one of those things that, like, I'm already looking forward to going next year, and then next year, and the next year after that. Like, it was just an amazing experience, and being able to, part of it, I guess, was meeting everybody. Like, you see so many, you talk to so many different people, and meet a lot of people in game or in the different communities. And you can never put a face to their name, but going there and like just meeting everybody, and it was amazing.
The amusing part about you going was that you kept asking on your Twitter feed, you're like, I want to go, anybody give me a ticket. You figured you were just going to go without a ticket and like try to scalp one outside or something?
Yeah, I actually missed the first invite, or sorry, the chance to actually purchase a ticket. But being
probably had a wedding that weekend.
Exactly, yeah.
Or you had to work.
But being in I'm part of the MVP program, so in the past we've also kind of like, we could purchase tickets through some other people, or there's different opportunities for us to get them. But this year it was kind of like there wasn't a lot of info on it, so I was really struggling. I was like scared. Like, I had already booked the time off at work. I had we had already made arrangements for like the hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff, and so everything was a go except for this ticket, and then it turned out I did have a ticket available, and I just didn't know it. So, but yeah, so kind of avoided that one.
Yeah, the funny part is I knew you had a ticket before you knew you had a ticket. As it worked out.
Yeah. So
I sent out an email. I mentioned this on the last podcast, but I sent an email to everybody on the podcast list saying I can't go. We have 2 passes. Who wants to go? Mm-hmm. And you were one of the first people to respond. And I knew you were trying to go already. And obviously you've been following the game for a long time. I thought, he'll be good to go. He'll be good, journalist, a correspondent for us at the show and stuff. And then I put you on the list, and then Blizzard mailed me back the next day and said, actually, he's already on the list for a press pass already. And you didn't even know.
No,
so.
I didn't know. So yeah, that's what I was going to. It kind of left out there, but as we
except for telling you about the fact that you had a press pass, they did an awesome job,
exactly.
right?
But like even moving towards the final day, a lot of tickets became available, I guess, or people had extra ones that they're trying to get rid of. So, yeah, I guess I'll know for next year or anybody else that's going that you kind of know that leading up to it or the last couple of days, people do, like any event, I guess, people like end up not being able to go or something and they're trying to get rid of their tickets. So, but it was scary leaving it until last minute. So.
Yeah, and actually, you were available to go as well. You had a ticket available for you if you wanted HolyKnight, but you couldn't go. You had not planned ahead. You couldn't get off work. You had no travel time. And I keep telling you, dude, just like save like $20 a month for a year, and you'll have enough to like crash on like 9 Ball's hotel floor room. Take a bus or something, hitchhike.
I think it's about the bus next year.
Well,
you're like a super fanboy of obviously all the Blizzard games. You play pretty much everything, and you love the artwork and stuff. And we keep saying you'd be like the greatest thing ever. I just kind of go in there. I've been there so many times, and I'm like all like old and jaded and everything. I just like watch the Diablo panels and go to the press room and eat like free food and type stuff. and people who actually enjoy it and like go to every event. And I'm sure you did a lot of stuff, Monstrous. We'll get to your whole agenda here in a minute, but. So what can you? I mean, you've obviously followed it closely over the years, HolyKnight. You have a plan what you would do when you finally get to go. You just kind of like just camp out at the art table the whole time.
Definitely play some of the games first to see what's going on there. Meet some of the devs, some of the community managers. Some of the people I've met on just in general the whole situation. That games, yeah, definitely art and definitely the end. The end show. Might even be watching the StarCraft tournament stuff. That stuff's amazing.
You can never watch people play a video game for free online. You have to go there in person to do it.
I haven't minded either way.
So what was your main occupation there, Monstrous? When you first finally got there, you're like, I'm seeing the opening ceremonies, I'm going to all the panels. Did you try to focus on a certain game in particular or just highlights of all of them?
Well, it's actually quite difficult to like hit everything up. I didn't think it was like going into it. I'm like, okay, well, I'll plan it out. So I'll go to this one and this one. But there's so much stuff going on that you can't it's hard to make a plan to go and actually see everything. I scratched the surface, I guess. I mean, I walked around, I saw everything. There were certain panels that I wanted to see that I missed, but for the most part, I hung around the Diablo booth, the Slaughter Cafe, which was amazing, and I hit up the Diablo panel, but at the booth itself, at the Diablo Slaughtered Cafe, all the mini panels actually, like, I wanted to make sure that I hit them, but there were so many of them that if you wanted to watch them all, you were missing out on a lot of other stuff that was going on the floor because they were kind of, it wasn't like another panel where they were all planned and you could like schedule. These ones were all like just a mini schedule, so it's overlapping with a lot of the other bigger panels. But that's where I hung out most of the time. Plus, there's a bar there, so you could just like sit down and have beer and watch the developers talk about their games. So it was really, really cool. And like, it was just surreal to see all of the developers, especially for Diablo, just walking around. Like, Josh was handing out some beers to some fans. Wyatt was amazing. He was walking around and chatting with everybody about anything you could think of and answering questions about Diablo itself. So
who did you talk to? Did you actually get FaceTime with him? Did you touch Wyatt?
Yeah, actually, Wyatt.
Is he soft and furry like a chia pet?
Yeah, Wyatt is actually he's super personal, like down to earth. Like I actually was able to on Wednesday night. When was it? Yeah, I went on Wednesday night, and I think we were at the Hilton, and he sat down with us, and we had a conversation and had a couple drinks. And then on, I believe, Friday, he took us out for lunch. So we enjoyed some chicken and waffles with Wyatt, and there's a couple other people. There was like Leviathan and 9 Ball and Rykor and Dreadsight. We all went actually for chicken and waffles with him. And then that was before the panel. And then even after like Saturday, I think Saturday night. Yeah, it was Saturday night. Right after everything, we went to the Hilton and we had some drinks. We ended up going back to the hotel room, and Wyatt busted out a board game. And this is after the Hilton party and all that kind of stuff. And after everything was closed, we ended up like staying till like 5 a.m. playing board games with Wyatt in the hotel room. So we spent a lot of time with Wyatt, and
you're like adopted.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. So
maybe this is the benefit of only having one Diablo panel. The devs have lots of free time,
maybe.
So they're just hanging around. Hey, let's hang out. Let's go have chicken and waffles.
Yeah, but no, it was awesome, and like, I mean, of course, we just got to talk a lot about the game and all the changes and things like that. But when we first went out for lunch with him, they hadn't had the panel yet. So we talked about it a bit. I can't remember if we had the panel or
the panel was at like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think,
so no, he had to come back and actually go up there. So a lot of the stuff that we talked about was stuff that we've already kind of seen before, and he hadn't announced anything yet. We didn't want to ask too many questions and ruin it, but we had also, like, going there first before the panels actually start. You could actually play the PTR before they announced all the stuff. So that was kind of like, I played it once and I'm like, okay, I don't want to ruin anything. I want to like watch the panel after. So, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just waited for the surprises, I guess, but I ruined it for
You're so polite.
I know.
I would have like played every single second of it and rushed upstairs and posted it all on the website before the panel, just because that's how I am.
Well, I think the press kits, the media kits, didn't they go out, right after the opening ceremony, right? So a lot of the stuff was available, I guess, if you wanted to look it up, but yeah.
Yeah, give or take, because I made some wallpapers for some of the new zones not too long after when they finally showed them.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, so what was secret stuff? You talked to Wyatt for 14 hours, dude. You must have some secret information. He just fleshed out current issues. I mean, most people listening would be like, if I had like 30 seconds alone with a developer, here's like the 10 questions I would absolutely have to ask or something.
Well,
you played like Settlers of Catan all night. So you must have some good stuff.
Yeah. Actually, and he just owned me at board games. I guess by that time I had a little bit too much to drink, and it was like 4 a.m. after spending every night out till 3 or 4 a.m. So I was really tired at that point. But just hanging out with him, being able to ask like questions. You see, he's starting to talk a lot on the PTR forums and on Reddit and stuff. And these are kind of like the insights that you would ask him a question, and he would go into great detail about like why they were making this change or like the reason behind the no set and things like that, and one of like just questions. And he would ask us just as many questions as we were asking him, just so he could get our input on it. And it was really cool just to have those types of conversations with him.
It is very demystifying. I remember the first time I went to E3 before they even had BlizzCons in like 1999 or 2000. And there's like 10 of the developers, the guys you've seen, Max Schaefer's and Bill Roper's and stuff. But there were all these other guys, like Steven Scandizzo and then, these other Tyler Thompson and these people no one's ever, they're like, the fourth programmer on something. But of course they know absolutely everything about the game. They've been playing, doing nothing but working on this game for like 4 years, right? So, and they were so hard to get to back in the days. Blizzard PR would keep them so locked away. Of course they kind of still do that, right? But then you get them at a conference, and there's like 10 of these guys just standing around. You can just talk to them for hours and ask them every question you want. And you're like, it's weird, It's like, you spent so long just seeing these guys in occasional interviews with GameSpot, and all the questions are like, these totally generic, useless questions, and you see a couple blue posts every now and then. And then suddenly you're face-to-face, and you can just ask any question you want, and they're giving you these long answers, and it's like sensory overload a little bit, right?
Right, and it's actually, it's hard, like, inside the Slaughtered Calf Inn, a lot of the devs, like, they're wearing their shirts so you can pick them out. But a lot of them, you don't really know who they are until you actually walk up to them and, okay, there's their name tag. Okay, I kind of know what they do, but they're not the Wyatts or the Joshes that are in front of the camera and, like, in front of the community the entire time. It's the kind of people behind the scenes. And a lot of cool conversations come from those, and just being able to meet them and find out what they work on. And yeah, it was a really good team. Like I was really surprised with how many of the developers and everything, like, they had to have been them all. There was a couple of people that I didn't get a chance to meet. I didn't get to meet Brian and a couple of the other writers, or I wanted to run into Jay Wilson, but I never did get a chance to meet him either. So,
are you going to drop gloves and throw down, or what?
No, I liked...
you were going to kick him square in the nuts, weren't you?
No comment. No. No, I really wanted
Just for the auction house. Yeah. Boom! And out he goes.
I really wanted to meet him. I had never met him, but like, I don't know. I see him like always. He's really engaging on Twitter and stuff, and he, I don't know. He just seems like a kind of guy that I would want to talk to and just ask questions and see if he answers them. But yeah.
Well, he's working on secret projects now, right? So.
He was on the WoW panel, I think.
Yeah, I saw him. He had a beard, like
he had a really big beard, so he was hard to recognize. But he was up on stage, I believe, on one of the panels for WoW. So
I think Jesse Cox edited it. Yeah.
Yeah.
A brave man.
Mm-hmm. A brave man.
Well, of course, it's been so long since he left the D3 team. Probably half the people playing D3 is like, Jay who?
Right.
He worked on Diablo too?
I'm starting to see, like, there's the odd posts. You see people like, bring back Jay. And they're like, what? Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, the gameplay and everything that they worked on, and I know that he was a big part of, is awesome for Diablo. I mean, sure, there's decisions that were kind of rough, but like, yeah, the combination now between Jay and Josh and like their ideas both kind of combined, it's, I don't know, Reaper Souls is really awesome. So, and it's every patch. Like, I couldn't believe these two, the last two patches that we've got, big changes, and it's almost like we've got a full expansion in the last two patches. So, yeah.
Well, that's been a conversational point. No, sorry, go ahead, HolyKnight.
Well, as I say, when you're going by that, this season has been the biggest season I have played in all four of them. I've played it every season, but this one I've been into the most. So, yeah, I know what you mean.
That's just because you play monks, and they're finally the best class.
Well, the Crusaders started out fine until they nerfed them, and I'm like, oh.
You've just been waiting all year until the monk would finally be awesome, and now he is. Or she is, possibly.
It's a shame.
Then it's a none.
Much none.
Okay, so HolyKnight, you hear these stories about like developer petting zoos and stuff, and is this like making you want to go to BlizzCon that much more, or do you just want to go there and see the games and stuff?
I want to meet them all in person, talk to them, ask questions, insight on what they've done, and basically like that. And then after that, the games, of course.
Was that a yes or a no?
I'm going with a yes on that one.
Okay, good. You gotta nail these Americans down. They're always slippery on the questions. Yeah, are you sure you're not a Blizzard developer already, HolyKnight?
No.
Because I asked you an outright yes or no question, and that was like an essay response.
I probably could qualify as one.
You've got the PR part down already.
Man, help me.
You would be blown away by the art there. Like you were saying that that's what you'd be interested in. Like, it's incredible to see like all of the art in one place, just piles and piles and displays, and just it's a sight to
like 20-foot tall posters of it.
I'd be like, can I take that home and that home, please? And I've got at least a dozen or more art books over to the right. Sadly, like I say, the Void's a weird lore book instead of an art book, but that's another choice.
So how was your Blizz shop experience, Monstrous? Did you get the special Murloc pin for spending $100 or more?
I actually, when I was there, they opened up the store a day early. So I was actually in line with Thunderclaw from Reddit. So we were in line there, and of course Nyanbao had already spotted someone like further up in line, so he like cut it underneath the line and went in there. I'm gonna call him out on that one. So the polite Canadian that I am, I stayed back. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't want people to hate me. So I was back.
Nobody hates Canadians.
I wasn't wearing a flag or anything. I guess I could have just said a boot a couple times and said sorry. But yeah. So
do your drinks count toward the 5.5 over and under? I think they do.
Maybe.
I think there's someone drinking Molson's right now. Maple flavored Molson's. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So I was kind of back in line a bit, but so Thunderclaw and I were back there, and we had waited. I think it was like an hour and a half or something like that in this line, and it was massive. We were probably halfway through the line when I just said, actually Leviathan, his plane just landed. He was getting to the hotel, so I kind of like copped out. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to give my money to you, or I gave it to Naimo because he was a little bit further ahead. So I gave my money to him. I was like, pick me up this, and this, and I bailed. I had to get out of there. It was just, I think the final wait time for Naimo was like 3 hours or something like that in line. or close to it. It was insane. I guess we should have waited till like something like the opening ceremony when there's like nobody in there, but
Everything's sold out by then, though.
yeah, I know.
That's true.
They have all these limited edition things because they know you want them to get them early.
Yeah, the only thing that I bought were actually like posters. I just bought all the posters, all the special BlizzCon posters because I like the art and I wanted to get some things signed as well. So
Yeah, so say, did you take them to the artist signings?
Yeah, or sorry, not the art, but like right at the Slaughtered Cafe, like all of the artists and the developers and everything were there. So I just made sure to get everything signed when I was there.
Do you want to plug your eBay account right now, or should I put that in the link after the show?
I'd be jealous right now.
Yeah, but no, like there's so many people doing that. And they just like laid out posters everywhere. When you actually like, there's a Reaper Souls poster that they just had sitting on all the tables. So if you wanted autographs, you just grab one of those posters and get everybody to sign. So, yeah. And
it sounds like, actually, ironically, developers were a lot more accessible this year, and they were giving out more swag and stuff than in past years when they had so many panels and people were actually going to the show for Diablo 3 when they had new stuff and new characters debuting and such. This year, it's like, okay, we have no new content really except for this one panel, and the demo's just one in the new area. Hey, let's make the developers really accessible and give lots of posters and give them beer. And apparently it worked.
Yeah, like I mean, I haven't been to the Diablo, like I can't talk for other years because obviously I haven't been there. But I'd say this, like, I bet other community teams or for the other games are going to be looking at what they did and maybe try to implement some of these things into their panels or booths because it was amazing. Like, hats off to the Diablo community team because they hung out. They were there the entire time too, and I know that was probably a lot of work, but it just inside it itself, like all the props and everything. The demo booth was actually right there. There wasn't like a crazy amount of computers, but there's a console station, and then there's also a couple computers set up there that people can go and test out. But like that's right there. And then right next beside it are just a whole bunch of tables with a mini stage, and that's where all like Wyatt and Travis stay. A lot of them just like gave their presentations right there. So they were like quick half-an-hour presentations, but they were a little bit more focused. And as soon as the person walked off the stage, he would have a crowd of people surrounding him, asking him questions about it, and they were happy to answer them. So it was really, really cool to see like all the developers and everything and engaging with the community. It was really, really cool and just felt so personal. So yeah.
Any questions on that HolyKnight? It sounds pretty fun to you, hey?
Yeah, it was actually nice.
That was even on purpose.
Yeah, pardon me with that virtual ticket. I wish I could have saw some of that, but
yeah. I know some people were filming it. I'm not too sure. I saw like Leviathan posted something, but a lot of the stuff from those panels, they said that they might be making available later. It might not be all the slides and everything that he showed, but they might do like a roundup of all the panels that they did present. So
that'd be good. Like I said, I think I've seen the one by Leviathan. There may have been something else because I saw it popped on Reddit and I watched it for a little bit.
Yeah, I know Thundercloud was doing a lot of it, and he was actually there a lot, and he wanted to see some of the other stuff, but he was kind of tied there because, like I said, there were so many of them that if you walked away for a bit, you were for sure missing a couple. So it was I would maybe spread them out, but then obviously you wouldn't get as many. But yeah.
And usually you can't hear anything. The audio there's so much background noise, and there's always like some deafening game demo, like right on the other side of some wall.
Well, the other problem was the bar was right beside the stage, and so if the lineup was long enough, because finally people figured out, hey, there's a bar right here, we can actually get beer and drinks. So the lineup would be so big that it would like kind of go out in front of the stage a little bit, and people were just having conversations with all the other dads and other community people that sometimes it was a little bit hard to hear them, but for the most part they did pretty well.
Yeah, last couple of years they had the whole story time with Wyatt thing where he'd kind of hang around the community manager booth. And if you were like in the first 3 rows, you could hear it. And beyond that, it was like lip reading, just sort of hoping you could catch a word every now and then. And anybody asked a question, you could never hear it because they were facing in some other direction. And it was like during the concert, so in the background you hear like Metallica or Ozzy or something, like, you know, banging away from half a building away.
Oh.
So it's not a real. It's tough to report on or to present to people who weren't there. Like, you can kind of get it when you're there, but then it's like afterwards you just like, okay, there were words and something about like set items.
Yeah, they actually Wyatt had his story time, but it was actually after the concert. So after BlizzCon basically shut down, they everybody kind of crowded around, and he was actually answering questions and talking about design right there in the patch. And then we were actually asked to leave by some of the employees that were trying to clean up and everything. They're like, okay, guys, we're kicking everybody out. They're talking like it wasn't like Blizzard that was kicking everybody out. It was like the convention center. It was all that. So, but yeah, he just like made it was just incredible. Just the accommodation that he just went through. Like, it was awesome. Yeah.
And we will never hear from any of them again for the next 8 months.
Nope. That's for sure.
Wyatt's had a lot of activity on Reddit and on the forums lately, so it's kind of cool to see that they're opening up about it now. I guess they're probably working on a lot of this stuff the past couple of months, so now they can finally talk about it, and they're trying to do it right. So.
So where were you in the last year or so, Monstrous, leading up to this, up to Gamescom, up to BlizzCon, and expecting an expansion pack, a second expansion pack for Diablo 3? Were you expecting that, or you thought no way, or?
If you ask me, probably like 3
like
or
6
4,
months ago, 8 months ago.
I was gonna say, like, I did think that there would be an expansion just because of where the last expansion left off and just the timelines, I guess. And I mean, we already knew that there's a WoW expansion coming out, and like we kind of already knew that Overwatch was coming out, and all this, for when you look at all the other games, it made sense for a Diablo expansion. And I was kind of sad not seeing it, but I mean, they must have other plans, or I'm not too sure what they're thinking. So.
Well, we've been debating that the last 2 podcasts, and then after BlizzCon, most of us were thinking, okay, if we didn't get an expansion now, we're never going to get one. They're just going to keep giving us free content and patches, and we're not sure how they're monetizing any of this.
Right.
And then we had a little interview last week came out, when it's like they had the whole quote from Mike Morhaime saying, just give out the content for free and win the fans back over again.
Yeah, I mean, from what we've seen the last two patches, they very well could have bottled that up and maybe developed a couple of the new zones and gave us an expansion. But I mean, obviously there should have been more with the story and everything. But from what we've seen right now, I mean, for replayability and the amount of items and sets and all the new features, like we did get an expansion for free. I guess you could say that minus the story. So
minus another class too.
Right.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have said, like, Kanai's Cube, it seems like an expansion feature that they just gave us out for free.
Right. And
I mean, that's like the rune words kind of a thing,
Mm-hmm. And set dungeons too. I'd say it's probably a big one that they could have put that in almost to an expansion. So.
But talking to Wolfpack last week, he was more of the opinion that they're giving out lots of stuff and they're continuing to keep the fans interested, and maybe the timing just is not right. I mean, there's so many other games with Overwatch coming out soon and the WoW expansion coming out, and StarCraft just came out, and so it's like, Wolfpack's thought was maybe they're still working on a Diablo expansion. They still have all these story guys and art guys, and we're not really seeing that much new story or art in the patches, right? So they got to be working on something.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they're just working on this and getting it, really polished and doing other things, and they're just holding off an announcement until, there's a little more of a clear space in terms of which other Blizzard games are coming out. Do you have any thoughts on that, having been there and talked to Wyatt for 17 hours?
Well, I honestly I don't even know what what could be coming or what they're kind of thinking of or their agenda is. I mean, they are releasing a lot of these things that could have been in an expansion, but if they're giving it to us for free, maybe that means that they've got like something really, really big coming up that we might be seeing in the next, and they just couldn't fit it all in. So maybe they're trying to release it. I don't know, or like Holy was saying, maybe they're just trying to keep our interest for a while until that expansion. So I don't really know. I don't really know what they're planning on doing, but I keep the patches coming. That's all I can say. Everything's looking good.
More content, more wallpapers. That's what I gotta say.
Exactly, yeah. And the new zones and everything that they added they're incredible. Like the artwork and stuff in them, and it has like a really, really dark Act 1 type graveyard feeling or cemetery kind of feel to it, which were by far like for me at least, the best zones that we saw in D3, and these ones kind of reflect that, and it's like a lot darker. So I really like that.
They're still in their gothic phase.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope they stay
Which
there.
is funny because people have suggested a lot. Obviously there was initial controversy, art controversy, etc. People, too colorful, Diablo 3. Why is there rainbows in my Diablo 3? And it seemed like that definitely influenced what the first expansion was, where they went super, super gothic with Westmarch and stuff, right? And the joke is always, the image meme is like, I'm so gothic I shit bats. And of course, there actually are monsters in Act 5 that do in fact shit bats. So hard to beat that, right? And it's all dark and gloomy. And of course, that we're still getting that. The new tile sets added in recently. Obviously, the cesspools one wasn't exactly gothic, but it was certainly dark and underground and gloomy.
And very laggy.
Yeah, well, there is no lag in Diablo 3. We all know that. It's been fixed. It's been optimized.
Hey.
Yeah, they just nerfed whirlwind barbs.
Exactly. He had it coming now. So what do you guys feel about the ongoing content of Diablo 3? I mean, we've all seen Stash for Cash in China, and we all keep kind of sort of thinking that's going to come to the U.S., but obviously it's not, and the devs are finally giving us a way to get new stashes without cash. I mean, they said many times before the game, we can't just support, this can't be Diablo 2 again. We're not just going to put out one expansion and then give you free stuff and patches for 5 years. Oh, wait.
Right?
So are they just going to keep giving us free stuff and patches forever? Are they working on Diablo 4? What do you think how are they monetizing this? What is the economic model that makes this work other than Hearthstone is very profitable?
I honestly don't know what.
How many? Just briefly, you saw millions of devs roaming around. I mean, the guys who are actively on the Diablo 3 team in the petting zoo, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like dozens of employees still.
Yeah, like definitely. I know that they do a lot of like cross team work. So if let's say they needed to get some stuff done on Overwatch, they would probably send a couple people over there to do that kind of work. Like I know, just talking to a lot of people, they not only did work on one team, but they were maybe doing work on a completely other team for a couple weeks, and then they move back and forth. So it sounds like there's a lot of juggling. Actually, I went for a tour of Blizzard on the Sunday, and you can see there's different desks where okay, yeah, that guy's over on this team right now, or this guy's working on Diablo and he came over from Overwatch, and there's just a lot of different crossovers. So it's really hard to say you can't just say that one person's on one team. They're on a team when they need to be on that team. So,
well, they've always had strike teams where you get some guys from one game and they just really intensively play another team's game, break it all down and give them major feedback.
Right. Yeah.
And that was a big thing before Diablo 3 launched, the WoW strike team. People were blaming the WoW strike team for for dumbing down a lot of the skill trees and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which may or may not be the case, but they certainly do strike a lot about these things. When you toured Blizzard, did you get to tour the Diablo 3 area?
Yeah, I actually.
Did they have huge sheets covering up secret things on the walls, or did you get a sense there was secret stuff you couldn't see?
Well, I mean, I did. I signed an NDA when I went in there, so a lot of the stuff that I did see that might not be, I don't know if it's available anywhere or anything. There's some stuff that was brand new that I had never seen before.
Was the Necro dude pretty cool?
Yeah, the Necromancer was awesome.
He's got a druid shape-shifting talent, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He can turn into a penguin.
Does it throw spears?
It throws spears, yeah. So there's a lot we toured around. So we went to first off we started in the Warcraft area, and I actually went with some people. Well, first off, okay, I was in line at Disneyland, which is the worst idea after BlizzCon possible. Do not go to this is for you, Holy. After BlizzCon, do not go to a place where you have to stand in longer lines than BlizzCon. Do not do that. my feet were killing
They're
me.
full of screaming, sticky children.
Yeah, like really, really sticky. Yeah. So like we went there and we were in mid-line, and we were mid-line at Disneyland, and I got a text saying, "Hey, do you want to come for a tour?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we obviously were in the middle of this line, and we'd already waited in for like half an hour. So we waited the rest of the line out, the next half an hour, and then we just got in our vehicles and went straight to the Blizzard headquarters. So we got there, and when I say we, it was actually some people that I raid with in WoW. And so we were there, and we went through the whole Warcraft side of things, saw some really cool things. There's a ton of artwork in there that you don't see anywhere else. That's not like just all over their walls.
Yeah, so if you hear heavy breathing, it's coming from HolyKnight.
Yeah,
you know?
like the art in those and like their desks are decorated. Like I thought I had kind of like a nerdy desk or something at home. Like I thought my desk, I had a lot of stuff on it, but these, like, you can't even see their desk. They're just absolutely covered with like signed copies of boxes or just anything. Like it's just a dream world with all the nerd ornament, anything you can think of.
Yeah, if you go through any of the art pits at Blizzard, it's just they have all the artists in like the same, like a small room, and they'll call it the art pit, and like you can't even see the walls usually.
Yeah, like it was insane. Like
it's like half the merchandise from every anime ever released in human history is pasted up somewhere.
Yeah. So
action figures, and I mean, just it's ridiculous.
So like even just walking through there, like it was actually John Yang that gave us the tour, and this was at like 6:30 on a Sunday night, so it's dark and there's nobody there. I think we saw 2 people, and like they were working at their desks, like on a Sunday night. But other than that, there was like 1 person in the gym, and everything else, lights were off, and he was turning on lights as we were walking through. And so we went through all the Warcraft, like the art areas, and it took forever just to walk through and like look at all the desks and all the neat stuff that they had on there and all the artwork. I know that there's a lot of artwork that we could take pictures of, and then there's some that we couldn't. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. I mean, it was just really, really cool stuff to look at. And then we went over to the Diablo building, and the one thing that I really liked is like when you walk into the Diablo area, you have to like swipe. John has to swipe his key card, and the actual thing that you swipe, it's like this like Diablo horny, like I didn't mean to say horny, but it had like these big horns that come out of these glowing eyes, and when you swipe it, the eyes light up and it unlocks the door. And that was my first, like, I'm like walking into Diablo, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm wondering what I'm going to see. Like, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. And then I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, like that was my highlight right there, the glowy eyes with the door unlocked. But no, we went in and saw a lot of cool stuff. Again, like their desks are just decorated to the max. Box arts and like everything signed. Just really, really cool stuff. And then there were some areas that obviously like probably, I don't know if it's like they're like, oh yeah, we can't go in there, but we can go in here. Like that was the same with any area. So I don't know. I guess there's those kind of things that are all over the place. But yeah, it was really, really cool. Like it was a dream come true just being on the campus. Like if we didn't get the tour, I was probably just going to go and like take a picture of like the drive out there and take a picture of the from outside the gate, but just being in there where they make like all your favorite games and everything. Oh, and we actually got to visit they have a little bit of a museum set up with all their past games, and they have like a lot of cool art in there. We got to see like where they watch all the premiere, all the trailers and everything for their theater inside the building.
Yeah, that's when you first go in the main building.
Yeah.
On the left's the little art museum, and you go through that into the cool movie theater.
Yeah, the only like we did see all the big statues and everything that was at BlizzCon, but when we went there, a lot of those statues hadn't been moved yet back. So so it was missing a little bit of like that wow factor of like all the huge like the Tyrael and stuff like that just in the office.
That was WOW factor or wow factor?
Well, both. But
But
yeah.
yeah, people see all the cool. They have all these huge statues they put out at BlizzCon. You'll see photos of them of like what's her face, Nova from StarCraft Ghost and all these other stuff. All these orc statues and Warcraft statues and things. And those are just like in various like lobbies at Blizzard. They just take them over there from the they don't just bring them out for BlizzCon. Those are like the decorations all year round.
Yeah. So a lot of those, I don't know where they were all like situated. I mean, there's like there's a huge tracer and everything that they were showing off at BlizzCon, and I have no idea where that goes. But like, I know right in the main entranceway, that's where the Tyrael was. But they had like a tiny little miniature statue in its place, like one of the little action figures. So like it was sitting there.
Aren't they cheeky?
Yeah.
So. This is where it was. We'll put it back later.
So you were in LA for like a week after the show. Were you just visiting friends, or were you like
actually,
over there trying to hustle up a job, or what?
I went. So I flew down to Anaheim for BlizzCon. We stayed an extra day, hit up Disneyland, and ended up going for that tour of Blizzard. And then after that, I drove up with some people that I play World of Warcraft and Diablo with. We actually drove up. They live in San Francisco, so we drove up. I don't know how long it was, like 5 or 6 hours. Went up and stayed at their place for a week and toured around, and yeah, got to meet a lot of people that I play games with that I'd never met, or some of them didn't even make it down to BlizzCon, but I was able to meet up with them after up in San Francisco. So
you weren't like crawling through the air ducts at Blizzard like Die Hard 5.
I can't
hiding
say
like,
that.
Pictures of Jay Wilson's desk from above.
Yeah, I know. I just like hid in the air vents. Yeah.
Yeah, like Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Like Monstrous Impossible. You're up there waiting and hiding and lurking.
So yeah, so I'll release all the photos that I took and all the conversations that I recorded.
Unfortunately, you took an NDA, so
yeah,
you did.
Yeah, they got me there. So
only once all the new info comes out.
Yeah, but.
So any other BlizzCon thoughts? I mean, you've already said you can't wait to go back next year, basically. So it's only 50 weeks away, right?
Right. Well, we stayed with even the hotel room that we stayed in. I stayed with Leviathan, Nineball, and Dreadscythe. We all stayed in a room, and it was the conversations that you had, that we were able to have, just because we're all huge Diablo fans, and we're all Blizzard fanboys and all that kind of stuff, and just the conversations and being able to go to a panel and then go back to your room or whatever, and or go for lunch and actually being able to talk with other people about that, and what this could mean and what that could mean and things like that. Just the people that we can meet. I went to the community mixer on the Thursday, right before BlizzCon, and I was able to meet Dat Mods and Quinn, and a lot of the other developers and community teams there, and that was really, really cool, because that was kind of that was pre-BlizzCon, so you kind of walk in there and holy crap, that's Dat Mods, or that's Quinn, or kind of just fanboyed up there as well. There's so much to see. I think they should. I hope they expand it to a fourth day of BlizzCon, or a third or fourth, full pack day, because there's getting to be so much stuff that it's really hard to walk around the floor and see everything.
Yeah, that's what Wolfpack said last show. It's he's been to 3 or 4 BlizzCons now, and he says they could easily go a third day. There's just so much. They have so many. They just have one game, and they'd be okay, there's an expansion for StarCraft coming in 4 years. It's all look at StarCraft now.
I know. I don't know.
But now there's 5 games with demos, and there's just so many panels, and they got the WoW movie coming, and
right.
Yeah, I was why they didn't do a third day personally.
Sorry.
A third day you're not going to go to?
I don't know if my feet would have lasted. They need a little conveyor or something that takes everybody around so you can see everything.
Well, you can sit down at the panels at least, and in the press room and stuff.
Right, yeah. Did
you ever even go in the press room?
I did. Went in there and picked up the media, the press kit. Kind of went in there. I did a couple emails and things like that, but nothing crazy. I did eat there once, and I was actually sitting beside Trump was the next table over, and so I kind of oh good. You meet a lot of cool people just hanging out in there. A lot of the esports players, and Yeah, the one thing I didn't do was I didn't get a chance to see any live esport matches. And I really, really want to go see that. But, yeah, so I just kind of watched. When I got back, I had the virtual ticket, so I just watched all those things there. But I wanted to experience it live, and I never did get a chance. So next year, that's on the my agenda for sure. And I'll probably get to see some Overwatch, which I'm kind of excited for, so...
Yeah, that game
Overwatch.
is nice.
Yeah. So.
Yes, you're going to go all the way to LA and wait in line at BlizzCon to watch someone play a computer game.
Yeah.
Because you can't see that for free at home anywhere, right? Oh, look, he's clicking F6. Oh, my God, look how he clicked F6. Oh, that was so awesome. Thank God I got a ticket to this.
So many APMs.
It's not even watching the players. It's like the reaction from the crowds that I want to witness that I never got a chance to see. Just like everybody's so into it, and it's crazy. It's like you would be like listening to another panel, and like someone would win, and you'd have like the panel would have to stop for a little bit and wait for like all the noise to like die down because it was so loud. Yeah, so that's one thing I want to check out. Hopefully, maybe we'll see some a Diablo esport later in the future.
Was there an Adderall in the BlizzCon goodie bag this year, or do you have to bring your own if you're going to be in the esports?
I don't know. I didn't see that, but definitely that would have been a good one to put in there.
Yeah, except it's against the law. Okay, other than that. So we were going to mention a little bit about the snapshotting thing. I guess that's enough. Any last BlizzCon thoughts, HolyKnight? You just have is all you need now peanut butter and you have a sandwich ready because you are hella jelly?
Indeed. Yeah, it should be good then. Next year, can't wait.
Yeah, definitely come out next year because I'm definitely going again. I don't know what other people are thinking, but like if they keep on doing like those small little panel talks or like things like the Slaughter Cafe, like there's a lot of stuff that goes on there that you don't see in the virtual ticket, and it's definitely worth it going there because I've watched the virtual ticket through the virtual like online and everything the last couple of years, and it just blew my mind like how amazing and awesome it is to actually experience it firsthand. It was just really, really cool. And it's the community part too that is the biggest thing, because like just meeting people and being able to talk with other people that you play the game with, and just being able to chat with other like-minded people, it was very cool.
Yeah, I almost forgot to ask you my best BlizzCon question. I've asked the other two guys the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if the zombie apocalypse began while you were at BlizzCon, which fans of which game would you try to kill the first, and who would you be most worried about? So if everybody who's like currently waiting in line for Overwatch or WoW or the Warcraft movie or Diablo 3 all became zombies at once, which direction would you be heading?
Well, I would leave BlizzCon and I would run to the Blizzard headquarters, because like all those like their 5-year swords and everything that they have, like there's so many of those on the walls. I would go straight there, and I think that actually John Yang mentioned that. He's like, if there was ever a zombie apocalypse, this is where you want to come. He actually said that. And like we were there, and you could like look at all the different swords that the developers have been like awarded for their years of service there, or years of work.
I don't think those are actually rated for combat.
They look like it. I would head there and just that's where I would keep shop. Of course.
Yeah, I did a lot of martial arts, and we had like practice weapons. You could go to like martial arts places and buy like practice broadswords and stuff, and they would just fall the hell apart as soon as you hit anything. And these were actually meant to hit stuff with. I think those Blizzard ones are just like, they look pretty, but probably take out a zombie or two before the blade snapped off the hilt.
And then you have them there.
But as far as like a lion that I'd have to watch out for or head straight for and begin bashing in these zombies, I don't know. Maybe, I would be right in there with the Diablo people. So I would have to be like getting my group of people in my war band or whatever and going to attack people. So I don't know. We'd have to probably go after the Heroes of the Storm people.
You had your WoW raiding party there, so.
Yeah, exactly. So we would have been able to take down anything that they threw at us.
So last thing is the Wyatt Chang. Since he's your best friend now, you should get the first chance to answer her, Monstrous. Is his couch comfy, or did you pull out the whole sofa bed, or just lay on the couch regularly?
Just laid on the couch. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had to leave room on the floor for 9-ball, I guess, right? So that was only nice. So so Wyatt made this post just this week about snapshotting, and apparently people thought like snapshotting was a bug or something, or like it shouldn't be in the game. And Wyatt just sort of pointed out that, well, actually that's how everything in the game works.
Mm-hmm.
Because the skills have to decide if you have a skill that lasts for 1 second, it doesn't really matter too much with snapshotting. But stuff that lasts for like 3 or 5 or 10 or forever seconds,
right?
Kind of like the wait for the next Diablo expansion pack. That it has to determine at some point, okay, what is the IAS and what is the damage and what is whatever of this skill, and it's got to kind of change over time. And he's sort of explaining in this post, much like a story time with Wyatt at BlizzCon, right? Here's why we have this system, and here's why it works this way. And of course, the question is, how do you play in the gray areas? And people are doing things now like getting you put exploding palm on every monster on the level when you get a power shrine or something, or a power pylon. And it's like, well, when should the snapshot count? Should it count when you plant the exploding palm, or should it count later, or when it blows up, And this was a major issue in Diablo 2. That was one of the main reasons we used the weapon switch hotkey so much in D2, because you could switch to like a magic find kit, weapon and shield, or dual weapons, right when you get the last hit on a monster, or you would switch to like echoing swords and add +6 to the level of your Warcry or something, and then you'd cast it, and then you would have the duration of that effect, that buff. You would have a much higher level of the power. So since you're the inventor of most of the best features in Diablo 3, Monstrous, at least that's how I remember it being, right?
Yeah.
Did you have a contest at BlizzCon that had like beams of light going up from it? I mean, a costume.
No, I should have.
So people would know who you are and why you were famous.
I should have just had like a
why your opinions are more
flashlight,
important.
like above my head or something.
But only an orange one, because you didn't think of the green one.
Exactly.
Right? You only thought of the orange one.
So next year I know what I'm going to cosplay as, a legendary being.
So you can't get an LED flashlight that have multiple colors.
Yeah.
Because like pretty soon they'll have like blue ones and purple ones and orange ones too, and gold ones.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We just have orange ones. So what do you think of the whole snapshotting thing? You read Wyatt's post, and you're into like the game mechanics and stuff, right? Before you just decided to follow Overwatch entirely and don't play Diablo 3 anymore.
Yeah, I have been playing Overwatch quite a bit this weekend.
Yeah, HolyKnight too.
But
that'll be the Overwatch podcast later. That'll be the Afterwatch podcast.
As far as the snapshotting goes, like just reading what he has to say, and it does make sense that certain things will snapshot, and then certain things won't. I mean, and they say that they look at it on a case-by-case basis for the most part. And there's some things that like do get by them, like Bane of the Strickeners, things like that there's maybe some weird things that are happening with them that aren't intended. But it makes sense. Like, I don't know why people would think that it was a bug unless it was something that was like, it just didn't really feel like
Bane of the Strickeners,
exactly.
Obviously bugs.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, like, he goes on to mention things like Rend, like casting Rend just before like Wrath of the Berserker expires and things like that to like retain the damage bonus. All that kind of stuff it makes sense, and like you wouldn't really expect that like your Rend to like start like ticking like lower and lower and lower. So the way they're approaching it, I think it's perfect and it's fine. The way that he goes on to explain it about like certain things do and certain things don't, and if it feels weird or if it doesn't make any sense, that they try to change it. But it sounds like if they're doing that on a case-by-case basis, there's a lot of things they have to look at when they're implementing a new item or buff or anything like that. So, I don't know. What do you think, Holy? Like, do you think it's all right? What do you think about snapshotting?
Yeah, at first I thought it was kind of a bug until, like you said, he brought it up and that it's built into the system on purpose like that. It's really about practically min-maxing like in WoW even, If you do a certain thing at a certain point, you won't lose the effect. It's like when I play on my monk and I get that power shrine, I have to make sure to refresh things just right. If I don't, my damage isn't going to do so well and I'm not going to complete that rift.
If you don't use it, you lose it kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
But like and he goes on to mention as well that there's like, it kind of adds a different element for like the more skilled players to kind of min-max themselves, and it's a valid point. Like, it's one of the things that a lot of Diablo doesn't have. That it's like a lot of gear based or luck, where it's one of those things that the player can actually control and do something to actually allow them to push further and greater rifts. So I think it's cool, and if there's more stuff that like pops up that's kind of like that, like that's a little bit more skill based, that's cool too, because then people can like learn how to master it, and it really makes a difference when they're trying to push the greater rifts. So
the main complaint I've seen about the snapshotting is that people want it to just work, every 10th of a second or whatever. Why can't they just snapshot constantly and update it immediately, and there shouldn't be these bugs and these holes in the system, and you shouldn't have to learn how to game it with one skill versus another skill?
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, people point out that would be, we're obviously having, one of the major issues this whole season has been this unplayable, mysterious lag that suddenly just destroys games.
Right.
Especially
people think that's largely caused by too many checks for everything checking and running the whole system, right? All the number checks.
Right.
And if you're not snapshotting anything and every single skill is checking the damage state, 30 times a second, that would seem to add a great deal more computer load, right?
Yeah, like I don't really know. I know there's a lot of things that like I don't understand with the numbers and everything and how that affects lag. Like I know that they pointed out that, or Wyatt actually mentioned that like even reducing the numbers, like how it like went from like they added the M's and the B's behind all that, like making those smaller numbers. He said like that has nothing to do with the like technical side of things, and it wouldn't make everything run smoother at all just because the reduced number size. But when you're checking, like you were saying, rechecking the power or like the percents and everything that were on your skills, like every 10th of a second, like you mentioned, that might actually have a performance issue. I don't know, but yeah, they know what they're doing, I guess, as far as it, and yeah.
I remember them saying something about the area, whenever you're doing your runs with groups, deselect your area of effect because that would also add to it. And I've actually seen some of my friends that play the game do that, and they took it off, and I had less lag. And they were using the lag tooth or L tooth set, and yeah. But I don't know if it's working like it now. But
yeah, and like in the post, they were saying that the whirlwind barbs were one of the main culprits of the server issues and the lag. So that's why they're making the changes to whirlwind. But like I don't know how much like that'll fix it. Like I have no idea. But have you been playing any of the PTR there, Flux?
I have not.
You have not. Okay. I haven't really seen any reports of people experiencing that. But of course, there's less people playing that than there is on the live servers. So it's maybe hard to judge that right now. But hopefully everything gets fixed up, because I know that was a major problem when I was playing my whirlwind barbarian. Like you'd be playing, then all of a sudden like you'd have to like hit escape and like wait there for a second and go back at your rift. But hopefully they get everything figured out so it doesn't cause any problems this time with the leaderboards or pushing greater rifts.
Well, we had this discussion last podcast, and both the other guests have a lot of IT experience, and they were both firmly of the opinion that it's just because Diablo 3's engine is from like 2002 and updated a little bit in 2006 at Blizzard Irvine, and it's just a really outdated system, and they keep adding on more and more effects. And there used to be like 2 procs going at once, like at launch, and now everyone's got a proc on like every single piece of armor and their item set, and 3 legendary gems. And there's just, you're asking this antiquated programming system to keep track of like 100 times more stuff than it used to have to keep track of. So
yeah,
it's kind of not surprising that there's lag now,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the first like iteration of legendary items had like, they had similar stats, right? They might have had like an extra stat.
Yeah, they were just stat sticks. They were just rares with orange text.
So now everything has something which is cool, but yeah, maybe now we're seeing the effect of all that.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't having any problems. Remember how the biggest issue in recent months has been the whole UI thing, and you don't see all your buffs, and that's been an issue. That wasn't an issue at the start of the game because you had like 1 buff. There weren't buffs. It's like, ooh, I have a war cry up. Ooh, I have a shrine too. Wow, I have 2 buffs. Now it's like you have 40 buffs active in town. You just like start the game up and you haven't hit anything yet. You haven't done any of these overlapping everything procking and all. You haven't got your legendary gems rolling yet, or any of your sets gear going, and of course now in the PTR they're adding all this added stuff with all the new destructive bonuses. And so every time you start killing stuff, you're getting multiple more things counting, and your kill streaks are more visible, and it just seems like every patch just adds lots more stuff, and we're getting, there's every legendary item's got a proc on it now practically, and, they can't, I guess they can do, they're trying to do optimizations. We got the whole thing with the Witch Doctor and the, making fewer minions, but fewer fetishes, but do more damage and stuff. And it's just, there's only, the whole part about making a computer game is like trying to repair a aircraft that's in flight, right?
Yeah.
You can't just reboot everything in the game and say, hey, here's a whole new version of the game because you're still working on the current game. But that's one of the things that we're hoping for if we get an expansion. They could actually, maybe have some major changes or improvements to the code or reworking some of the stuff the way the game is in a larger sense and not just tacking on more content and patches, which is obviously nice to have more content, but kind of the hope that we've had with the expansion, some of us anyway, is that they would be able to rework some major features and maybe, change the attribute system so it's not just, all you ever want is more main stat, that kind of thing.
Right.
It doesn't seem like they're going to do that until like a Diablo 4 at this point, but they're doing what they can. But it's the aircraft is being repaired while it's in flight, right? So, and you keep adding more wings and more lights and more features and more seats and better in-flight service.
Right.
Not just warm Coke to drink anymore.
Yeah, but it's hard, right? Like they're giving us so much stuff, and then at the same time they're like hurting themselves in the process of like maybe server performance or game performance kind of thing. So, but hopefully it all gets worked out. Hopefully this PTR helps out, and in the next season everything will be back to normal or at least fine. So,
at least some kind of normalcy of some form, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So any other thoughts you guys have about current changes to the game or things you want to be fixed soon?
No.
Good.
Sorry, no. I was just going to say, like, probably the only thing right now, like, everything's, like, looking really, really good, and the changes to the experience and all that kind of stuff. But probably the only thing they haven't really touched on too much is the Paragon right now, and the difference between a really high Paragon level and a low, or like even the medium. They haven't really done too much or even talked about it too much. I know there's a couple like interviews from BlizzCon where things might have popped up and they asked the questions and then they kind of said it was fine and like these other things, but I think that's still something that needs to get looked at, like even reducing the instead of like 5 main stat for every Paragon, maybe even that was like reduced, or like, you know what I mean? Like just something that kind of closes the gap between a super, super high Paragon level and like even the mid, like a 2,000 Paragon level person compared to an 800. Do you know what I mean? Just so it closes the gap, and yeah. Like,
well, that's been a complaint, and then one of the questions that recently asked is devs are like, we don't like putting caps on Paragon points. So.
Right. I mean, there doesn't have to be a cap on Paragon points, but it could be even like reducing the number. Or I was thinking like maybe the first 50 main stat points are worth something like 20 main stat, and then after that they can reduce them so everybody gets that first like huge chunk at the start. And then if you want to go further and you're leveling up Paragons, it doesn't make like a huge difference. Instead of making it all level across the board, they could like stack it so you get most of the benefit the first like 800 Paragon levels when you have everything maxed, and then like after that it's like less, but it still provides a small advantage. I don't know. Like it is a problem when you are trying to compete on the leaderboards, because that's all it comes down to, is who can grind the most.
Bot.
Sorry, go ahead.
Or bot.
Or bot, yeah. I mean,
that's been a lot of recent comments that that's what's driving a lot of the botting, because of course it's worth botting if you always want to be able to get more experience.
Right.
If people would still bot if without experience just to get keys and stuff, but.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I do like the fact that they're adding in the new cube recipe that actually enhances your gear, and you can put some more main set on that, because that kind of like provides like an alternate route to Paragon farming, except for I guess you are kind of doing the same task. You're doing greater rifts to get that, and right now you're doing greater rifts to get the experience. But it does give a little bit of reason to push higher and kind of take away some of you can maybe close the gap a little bit on the Paragon leveling. But, I mean, the people that are going to be really, really high Paragon leveling are still going to get the highest gems. So they're still going to get the extra power boost from that.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
But who knows that'll be happening, right?
Right.
So we want it, but, if only you had a chance to talk to developers recently, Monsters, you could have found out.
yeah, I know, right? But I'm guessing there's... I'm guessing we'll see something, or at least like a message on the forums or something about it, because it is probably the biggest question mark out there right now for seasons moving forward. So we'll see how they experience. I haven't seen any like calculations or anything like that with the new experience nerfs. I haven't seen anything like any charts or anything to compare like solo to group or anything like that to see how much less how small the gap is going to be between the two now, to see if that makes a difference. So, but I'm sure we'll find out quick.
When the gap was essentially infinitely large last season.
Yeah, and that was the other problem too, is like you get more experience from playing in a group, and you also get higher gems from playing in a group. But with the changes now to the reduction in health and power from the monsters when you're playing solo compared to a group, it's actually going to close that gap. So now you don't have to worry too like there's still an advantage obviously for playing in a group, but that gap is really, really small now compared to what it used to be. Instead of 10 Paragon or 10 greater rift levels, you might actually be 5 or 3 or whatever it's going to be. But hopefully that's the case. So you don't see that big power in even your gems. So, but
that was one of the things that bugged me this season. I think it took me all the season up till about a week ago, like right after BlizzCon, to finally break solo Greater Rift 60 with a lot of frustration and wanting to throw things into walls. It was so difficult. It was ridiculous. And this is with a monk, mind you, which is easy. I had to get things that were holding me back were ancient versions of certain items. And when I finally got that ancient Aztec, it started going.
Yeah, that would make a huge difference, yeah.
Quite a bit, actually.
And now you can throw away all your legendary gems on augmenting your gear and to make new ones.
Well, it won't be as bad either, though. Once you do that, it'll be easier to get them again.
Keep telling yourself that.
One can dream.
Any other current issues in the game you guys want to mention before we're signing off here?
I know that there's also been talks about the set dungeons and difficulty. And like there's been a lot of like people complaining that not the difficulty of actually doing it, but like the difficulty itself. Like I know that there's been some Firebird wizards complaining that things die too quickly, and so they're trying to find like a balance between like what like it's just mind-boggling how hard it would be, like thinking about balancing for every set and like the different objectives that you have to do to complete, and like there's a lot of things that pop up, and I know that they're taking feedback right now on the forums in regard to all of the set dungeons, and just trying to like tune those to make them better for each set. But like Thorns Crusaders killing everything just with their thorns before they can complete the objectives and stuff. And one of the biggest issue right now is like, should they be swapping out like to weaker gear in order to complete them, which kind of goes against like the whole premise of like collecting gear and bettering yourself. You're actually making it harder when you're trying to complete these things. So that's probably the other issue, but I think that's just going to come with tuning and maybe even changing some of the objectives in them. So, but yeah.
Yeah, that was the first thing with the set dungeons. Like, how are they going to balance all these?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously they're not just randomization, and you're trying to do it. Greater. It'd be like trying to balance greater rifts, where you had to make them so they were exactly 15 minutes each. Instead of just saying, here you do this and see what the best time you can get on it is.
Right.
Set dungeons are like, you have to either do it or not do it in, 5 minutes or whatever the time limit they set on each of them is going to be. And, but it's not like you get a better prize if you do it in under 4 minutes or a worse prize if you're over 6 minutes. It's like, no, we have to do this exactly to this one setting, and everybody's the same thing, and all your different gear is going to be factored into it. It's like, that's impossible.
Yeah, no, thank you.
That's why the developers get the big bucks, dude.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm most excited for, too, is in this next patch are the class dungeons or class set dungeons. Set dungeons. I keep on saying class set. Wow. But going in and, completing those and, getting the different, portraits or things like that, the special visual things just from doing that. That's what I'm going to jump in here, and probably in the next week, that's what I'm going to be doing, because I haven't had much time to play on the PTR just because I'm going to bite my tongue. But I play on a Mac, so we hadn't had this last PTR client. It didn't really didn't do well for the Mac, and everything was broken. We couldn't actually even launch the game. So they've got that all fixed up, and now I can actually sink my teeth into the PTR itself. So.
That's why you stayed in LA for an extra week. You're like, I can't play anyway. I'm on a Mac.
Exactly. But
there's no love.
There's no love. But yeah, no, and I've been playing I played a lot of Overwatch this weekend too. So between the two, it's
Does that work on a Mac?
No, it doesn't. It's not for Mac. So I have to I actually installed the PTR for Diablo and the beta for Overwatch using Boot Camp on my Mac. So I installed Windows and I updated that. I played 1 day of the Diablo PTR, and then it was wiped, and now I have to start again. So yeah, but I'm going to be sinking my teeth into that this week and actually getting some of the set dungeons and stuff completed. So
you'll be playing Diablo 3 in a boot camp.
In a boot camp, yeah.
Boot camp, yes. Okay, any final thoughts for you, HolyKnight? Do you have any other bad Canadian puns to make here at the end?
I don't know. Let's see. Not gonna happen. Just that one.
And you're already saving your pennies for next year's BlizzCon, HolyKnight?
Quarters, actually. About 6 pounds worth of quarters behind me in a Superman.
You're halfway there already. And it's only 51 weeks to wait, right, Monstrous? You're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in between. I need to save my money too. The drinks there cost me quite a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, the drinks anything. That's why you go to the press room, dude. You can get free food and drinks. You just fill up on like trail mix bags, and you're done for the whole weekend.
Oh, I was talking about the drinks after at the Hilton parties and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The after events and in the Slaughtered Cafe and everywhere else. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. But
okay, guys. Well, I guess that's our show for this week. It's a holiday weekend. Next weekend, I have a feeling probably there won't be a lot of podcasting guests available, including myself. So probably be off next week and back in a couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll get some PTR time. My Monday to Friday job, but I have not had a day off of work since August at this point. But I have two different jobs. I work Saturday, Sunday, and then I have a different job Monday through Friday. The Monday through Friday one basically ends on a Wednesday here before Thanksgiving, and then I get a week off, and then I'm back for 2 weeks, and then I have lots of time off. So hopefully we'll get back to a little more regular podcasting. Maybe I can actually play the PTR again and talk about something from firsthand knowledge instead of just leaning on picking the brains of my guests every week. Hope you guys are looking up to enjoying a Thanksgiving weekend, unless you're like Monstrous and you're Canadian, where there's nothing to give thanks for anymore.
No, I hate everything. No Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And thanks for taking time out during the long third period break here. You can go back for overtime pretty soon. and your dog sled team was a great transport across to get to LA.
Yeah, they're waiting outside for me. I better get there.
You had to put rollers on the front Huskies, and you were pretty good after that, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think just in case you weren't to the over-under there, I want to make sure at the end. Okay, and go back to playing Overwatch and doing a Waffles HolyKnight, and thanks for your time, Monstrous, and go invent some more cool game features.
Okay.
Like green beams when you drop items and stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. I'll get right on that.
Yep.
If you're listening to the Diablo 3 podcast, we talk all about boot Diablo 3 here, and slaughtered calf. Were you vexed that they didn't have zombie bodies in the corner of a slaughtered calf inn?
No,
I
I thought maybe there would be, but no.
none of that.
Nobody drank enough to simulate a zombie body in the slaughtered caffeine?